Good morning, everyone, and I hope everyone is doing well. So, while we wait for others to join in, a quick notification here. We have a group on WhatsApp where we share our knowledge and grow together. Also, handouts of past sessions and upcoming session details are also shared there. The link to the group is shared in the chat box. To watch our past sessions recordings, check out our YouTube channel. The link is again shared in the chat box, and the link to official website and the LinkedIn page is also shared in the chat box. So now let me introduce who we are and what we do. So we are Curious Catalyst, and we build smarter, inclusive, and future-ready teams by providing trainings in posh DEI, AI skills, and soft skills. We deliver expert-led training facilitation and certifications that drive awareness, compliance, and meaningful behavioral change. Okay, so what is there for us in this session? We will learn from AI strategy consultant expert Ankit Kale about how to distinguish between rule-based automation RPA and AI-powered automation APA. Identify processes best suited for each approach. Explore practical use cases across sales, operations, finance, and HR. Understand the tools available for no-code AI automation. Learn how to build a business case for intelligent automation. Avoid common pitfalls when moving from pilots to scale. Now, let's know who our trainer is. So, Ankit Kale is an AI strategy and business intelligence consultant who helps organizations turn complex data and emerging technologies into clear, revenue focused solutions. With more than 7 years of experience across analytics, BI implementation, and AI workflow automation, he has worked with Fortune 500 companies, mid market enterprises, and startups. Ankit is the president of AI Articulators, a global AI focused community based in California, USA, and the founder of Bhavthan Toastmakers Club, a professional platform that supports individuals in developing strong communication and leadership skills. Okay, yes. Now, one thing I would like to bring to notice is that this session will be recorded and you will get the handout of the session and the link for the YouTube recording in the WhatsApp group. Kindly join the group for the updates. Now, with this, let's begin. Over to you, Ankit.
Thank you for that introduction, Vartika. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining on Sunday morning. I am Ankit, and today we are going to talk about automation. And I know you have probably been hearing this word a lot, right? But this webinars today is not just about what you are hearing, but we are going to demystify a few things. So what we are going to do today is we are talking about what exactly is automation and what is not an automation. We'll be talking about different types of automation, and I'll also be walking you through the different demos that I have built, which might help you to incorporate in your work to make it easier. Now, over the past few years, organizations have automated more processes than in previous 20 years combined. You got RPA bots, workflow automation, integration platforms, automations everywhere. But when I talk to the teams, I actually hear that they tell me that they feel more overwhelmed than they did before. Think about that for a second. We built all these automations to make life easier, and somehow it made things harder. In fact, I came across a survey of over 200 digital transformation leaders. 60% said that their automation requires manual intervention at least once a week. That's not automation, that is supervised automation. That is you babysitting the robots. Now, here's the thing, this isn't a failure of automation itself, it's a signal that we are at an inflection point. For 20 years, rule based automation has served us incredibly well, but it has natural limits. The moment you encounter expectations, unstructured data, or changing conditions, those rules break. What we are exploring today is the next evolution, AI powered automation. It can interpret the context, handle variability, and adapt without constant reprogramming. Not to replace what you have built, but to extend it. Now, I want to quickly check, like if in the chat box you can type yes if you are using any kind of automation today. Now, it will be really great if you can elaborate a bit that what that automation actually handle for you. You can just drop one or two tasks in the chat box. And thinking about those automations, roughly how much manual intervention do they still need in a typical week? So I see a few replies. Some of the organizations are still incorporating on automations, but some of them have already started with it. I can already see someone saying they have just started. That's a great thing. Uh, what this really tells us that the way we have been building automation works for the happy path, but real world operations aren't happy path. They are messy, variable, exception filled, and that's exactly what we are going to address today. Now, what we will cover is the different types of automation. Then we'll go a little deep into AI, followed by live demonstration, applications, business use cases, and of course, some pitfalls. That is going to be the part we are going to see today. Now, when we talk about automation, they are actually talking about completely different things, and understanding which is which will really save you a lot of time and, of course, money. The first type of automation is task automation. This is the simplest form. It moves data from point A to point B. Copy this field to that spreadsheet. Download this file and rename it. It is best for repetitive data entry that happens the exact same way every time. For example, copy invoice data from email attachment into your accounting spreadsheet. But here is the limitation. It breaks the moment format changes. If your vendor switches from PDF to Excel, your task automation stops working. That is a type of automation which we call it as a task automation. It does not have any logic. Then the second type is rule based automation, or this is RPA. You must have heard about this term. And this has been the most of you have built over past few years. It executes if and then logic. Let's say if the invoice amount is over $10,000, route it to the director. Otherwise, auto approve it. It is best for structured workflows where you can define every scenario with rule. For example, an expense report approval routing based on the amount and department. But it also has limitation. It needs exact conditions defined. The moment you encounter a scenario where your rules do not cover the condition, it breaks or route it incorrectly. Now, most of the organizations have already mastered type 1 and type 2, and you have got them working. But somewhere you are hitting the walls. And that's because real world doesn't fit into neat rules. And that's where the type 3 of the automation comes in. So what is this? This is AI automation using machine learning. This predicts outcome based on the historical data, based on the customer's behavior. What is the likelihood that they will change? What will be our sales next quarter? It is best for forecasting, scoring, and predictive analytics. For example, lead scoring. This is the lead which has 73% chances of converting it based on their profile and behavior. But the limitation for this, you need significant historical data to train the model. And that is where the next automation comes into picture, which is generative AI automation or Gen AI automation. This is the newest layer. It understands the unstructured text context. It can read an email like uh, a human would, understand intent, tone, and summarize a contract. It can extract key risk from the document, and it can generate what you ask it for. It is best where language based task or the context matters. For example, read this customer complaint and tell me what are they actually upset about, what is the root cause of it, and how would we resolve it. But the limitation for it, it can hallucinate. It can make up information that sounds plausible but is not true. So it needs validation, especially for high stake decisions. Today, we will be focusing on GenAI automation because it handles what your rules cannot, the messiness of real business language. But I want you to understand it is not replacing your RPA, but it is extending it. So wherever we are okay with the context, but not exact figure, that time Gen AI automation can come to the rescue. I hope everyone is clear about this different types of automation I have just mentioned. Now let me show you how organizations typically evolve their automation. In the stage one is task replication. Everyone starts here. Take what I do manually, do it faster. This is the copy paste kind of automation. Then the second step is rule based logic. You get smarter, you add if then branching. If the amount is greater than $10,000, route here, otherwise, route there. You are scaling your rules. Most organizations really are good at stage one and stage two, as I already mentioned. Then there is the third layer, which is stage three. We call it as an intelligent layer. This is where you need systems to handle ambiguity, to evaluate situation that don't fit your rules, to categorize based on the context, not keywords. And this is where almost everyone gets stuck. Why? Because rules cannot handle ambiguity. Rules need exact matches, clean data, and predictable scenario. The real world is none of those things. And of course, there is the stage four, which is governed autonomy. This is the goal. The system can act on its own, but within boundaries you define. It flags exceptions instead of breaking them. It escalates instead of guessing. But if you notice, if it is still governed, we are not removing humans from the loop. We are removing them from the repetitive part of the process. No, that is why, I mean, AI powered automation is what unsticks you from stage three. and it handles the ambiguity while maintaining the governance. And that is what we are building toward. So the practical question is, how do you know when to use RPA versus when to use AI? Now we can start with, do you have a process to automate? Is your data always structured and in the same format? If the answer is yes, the next question, can you define every scenario with if then rules? If the answer is yes, you can use RPA. It's perfect for this. But if the answer is no, you should use AI. You have too many rules to maintain, so AI can come into picture. So, and if you have the data which is unstructured, which has emails, documents, images, in that case, Gen AI automation can come into picture. Let me give you an example. Let us say if the invoice is over $5,000, you can send it to director for approval. This is where the data is structured. The rule is simple, perfect for RPA. Then the second one is classification of the support ticket by intent and urgency. Now over here, the data is unstructured and it is in the free form of text. People describe things differently. The way I am describing it may be different. The way you are describing it may be different. This is perfect for AI. The third example could be extract the line items from invoice and then check if the amounts are reasonable versus the historical pattern. Over here, for extraction, we can use RPA because this is structured data. Then for uh, reasonableness, you have to check with AI, that is, if there are any patterns. So in that case, since we are using RPA for data extraction and for uh, reasonability check, we are using AI. So we have to use both in that case. And most of the robust system do not rely on just one type of automation, they combine both. RPA handles the workflow, the routing, the triggers, the structural step. AI handles the judgment, the classification, the risk assessment, and the context evaluation. You don't need to choose one or the other, you may use them together. I hope what we have talked about till now is clear. And if at all, if there are any doubts, you may still ask me in the chat box. Now, let us talk about automations and agent. You have heard these terms thrown around like AI automation, AI agent, agentic AI, and I have seen people using them interchangeably. There are articles that treat them like they are the same thing, and honestly, it's creating a massive confusion. So, let me break this down clearly. There are three distinct things happening and they have very different implications. Now, the first one is AI automation. This is using AI as a component within your existing workflow. Over here, AI does one specific thing, which is, let's say, classifying an email, extracting data from a document, analyzing sentiment. Then your workflow uses that output to decide what happens next. For example, you have an AI to classify a customer email, like this is a refund request. Then your workflow says if there is a refund request, then you have to route it to the billing team. AI has classified it, the workflow has decided it. Over here, the autonomy level is relatively low. The AI is a tool, a very smart tool, but it's a tool. Then the second one is AI agent. And this is where you give a specific role with defined responsibility. It is not just classify this, it's you are we have to give it an instruction like You are an intake agent. Your job is to receive request, validate that they have required information, extract key fields, and determine if this is complete enough to process. Over here, AI now makes the decision within its role. For example, an intake agent receives a form and says, this request is missing customer account number. I cannot process this. And I'm routing this back to the requester with a message, please provide your account number to proceed. The agent has decided to reject it and request more information. It didn't just classify and hand off, but it has did whatever job it has been asked to do. Over here, the autonomy level, if we talk about, it is medium. The agent has boundaries. It cannot create new policies or override rules. But within its role, it makes its own decision. That is about AI agent. And the third one is agentic AI. This is where AI is given the goal and figures out. Yeah. This is where AI is given a goal and figures, and it figures out the steps to achieve to achieve on its own. You tell it book the cheapest flight ticket to London next week. It goes off and searches multiple flight sites. It checks your calendar, compares the prices, reads baggage fee. Uh, it books the ticket, add it to the expense system, send the confirmation, and yeah, send the confirmation, and you have just yeah. It sends the confirmation, and you gave it a goal and determined the plan. It executed the plan. Over here, the autonomy level, it is high. The AI is planning multi-step sequences and taking actions without asking permission at each step. Now, this is incredibly powerful. It's also incredibly risky in production system.
Okay,
I mean,
I would like to ask a question. When we say Google Assistant or Siri, then where do they fall? Which are they AI agents or they are agentic AI, AI automation? Where do they fall?
so over here they are assistants. I mean, we are not giving them. They are not doing any major task for them. But what they are actually doing is, if we tell them, hey, open a calendar or uh, book. They don't book yet, but set an alarm for this time. So they have some kind of agentic capability, but they are still in the restricted zone. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you see autonomy spectrum, when to use which. So, if you want to, use automation for internal research or summarization, lead scoring, in that case, you can use, AI automation. But if you want, uh, but you can avoid it just in case where there are payment or legal commitments are required, or customer facing autonomous chat which might land you in the difficult spot. In that case, it can be avoided. This is just for example. It can change depending on the business use case. Now let me show you the demo that all of us are who's waiting for. I will share the different screen. Any doubts so far? I know there is a lot of technical thing rather that I have mentioned, but this is important to understand before going going ahead. So over here, can you see spreadsheet on my screen? Yes, no.
Yes.
Okay. So what are
Can you
we?
please zoom it?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is just the data. I
Yeah.
mean, this is the dummy data, which is basically a customer request which is coming up. And how customer ticket comes up, of course, with the timestamp, with the customer name, email, what is the request type, and what are the request details, right? So this is the structured data as I just shown you. So let me tell you what is the scenario over here. These are the requests which come, and uh, these requests can be complaints, technical issues, refund request, or maybe some feature suggestion. They can be all kinds of stuff, and each of these requests need intent classification, what kind of request it is. We also need to assess the urgency, how fast the ticket needs to be resolved. On the top of that, we also have to give the risk flag to it, whether there is any legal escalation or payment issue. And also we also have to give routing recommendation, which team or which SLA needs to be followed. So traditionally what we would do is we will build, let's say, hundreds of if and then rules, uh, work until I mean, it can work great until someone writes, I need this to be handled quickly instead of urgent. This rule is something that we have missed out. But using this approach, using AI, what happens is it understands that quickly, ASAP, urgent, and time sensitive all mean the same thing. And humans still control over here in the process what happens next, right? So over here, what I have done is I have built automation on the top of this. So these are the requests which are coming. Okay, so what I will do is I will be running automation, and what it will do is it will give me analysis in this spreadsheet for whatever request that comes. Okay, I want you to focus over there. Once it populates data, then I'll show what just happened in the background. So the platform I am using this to using for running this automation is make.com. It is the no code tool. So what happens is I have created connections in the background, which I'm going to just show you right away. If you see, this is the spreadsheet I have connected, and I'm using LLM in the backend just to understand the what is going on over here. Of course, there are different parameters which I have given. So what I will do now is, yeah, I'll run this. Okay, so it is running, and I want you to focus over here. So I run this for this one particular request. So what has happened over here is it has captured the timestamp. I can change the data format over here. Yeah. So it has captured this timestamp, then the customer name, the request detail. These are the things which are already there. So if you see, yeah, this is Robert, this is his email ID, and this is his timestamp. And then what is the request type, and the other things which are getting passed to the LLM in the backend. So what is the request detail over here? The request says I cannot reset my password. The reset email never arrives even when I have checked spam folder. I have tried it 5 times over the past few hours. Now what is happening is AI is analyzing this in the backend, and immediately it is giving us the intent. What is this? This is the technical issue. uh, Urgency, this is high urgency. Is there any risk flag? No, because the user has not used any word as such. Then who is the recommended team for this? Of course, technical support. Recommended SLA, so it is 1 hour. Then confidence score, of course, it is generating in the backend, and AI is also giving reasoning that why it has uh, given this marking. So the customer, it is giving that customer, it has been giving that the customer is facing a technical issue which is resetting the password. and which is time sensitive as they have tried multiple times over the past few hours, right? So this is the reasoning which is helping us to decide whether to trust AI in this case or not. Any doubts so far? Is this clear? Awesome. So similarly, this can be run for entire this analysis. Let me show you how we can do it for others. Now I'll try to run for all the entries. Choose all. I want you to now focus what is happening over here. Each of these module when it runs, so this module is running. It is first it has loaded the data, then it has run its analysis, then the data is again populated. Oh yeah, it has done for the different now. So this is another customer. What is the request detail over here? She says I was charged twice for my January subscription. Can someone help me get a refund for what for the duplicate charge? And this has happened last month too. Again over here the intent is the refund request. The urgency is medium. No risk flag. The recommended team is billing team. The recommendation is 24 hours confidence score and again AI reasoning. So just with this data, we are getting all of this. Now I am running this manually, but all of this can be automated. So depending on if you can see, I can run this every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes, whatever request that you are getting, all of these request can be analyzed quickly with the help of AI and the further action can be taken. Now what is happening over here in the backend is over here there are different connections which I have created using no code tool which is make the data is coming from the backend from Google Sheet. Then this data is being analyzed over here. I have used OpenAI, I mean the Chat GPT over here in the background, and it is not just analyzing. I have given it a long list of what it needs to do for the request. So I have created different messages. I have explained my data structure, what is expected to be there. I have defined what are the different teams which are there, what are the different SLAs that are there, the confidence percentage, and of course the reasoning. So this is the guardrail or the instructions which I have given in the back, and on the top of that, I have also I've also defined what input it needs to take from the data. I mean from the queries that are being passed to it, right? And that is how it is generating the output. Now, whatever it is generating over here, I am converting this to a structured format. So you remember the text I mentioned, it is the unstructured format. So converting into the structured format is the important thing, and this systems can help us convert this to the structured format using JSON. JSON is the format that generally these LLMs use, and whatever it has generated in the backend, again it is getting to the written back to the spreadsheets. Any doubts so far? Have you understood how this is working or how it can be?
I have a query, Ankit. If you could
Yes.
just go back to the earlier slide, the one with Jason, the one with the Jason and the Google Sheet. Yeah. So if you're using make.com for this, right?
Mhm.
So make.com does all these things. We just give it the data in Google Sheets, is it? How does it work? Like how does this JSON come into picture? So do we have to uh, input everything in at different stages in make.com? How does it work? I'm a little, at sea here. You could
Okay.
explain, that will be great. Yeah.
So if you consider first, let us break this into four different processes. Okay. First, what is there? This is the incoming data or this is the data request that we have. Okay. Then what we want to do is we want to analyze this with the help of some LLM, some AI, correct? So this is the data. This is the AI system. whatever analysis the AI system is doing, we want to convert it into the structured format. And whatever the structure is created, that structure we want to feed it back to the Google Sheet. Now, these are the connecting tools. There can be n number of tools which we can add. So if you want to save this data to, let's say, Google Drive, if you want to create a Telegram post, if you want to save it to, let's say, send an email, if you want to convert it to the RSS feed, there are n number of integrations which can be done. Okay.
And
Now,
how easy would it be for a lay person like me, for example, to do this?
it would need some guidance, let's say, for I mean, to understand what exactly happens in the in the background. But it is mostly drag and drop and little bit of technical thing. I mean, just 1 or 2% of the technical thing, which is very easy to understand because there is no coding which is happening over here. So even if even if you attend a master class on this for 1 hour or something, you should be able to do it. It is very easy.
Ankit, I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like this is you have been coding this as a hard coded. I mean, your property and value is all hard coded, right? But your data will not be hard coded anytime. So that will have to be like a variable. The property should be there. Okay, that will be your heading, the property, but the values will always change. So right now you have added those values hard coded, right? So how can we add the values that keep changing, the variable kind of values? How will we add those?
So it totally depends on what kind of automation that we are trying to achieve. So there can be two types of AI automation which we can do. One is of course with the no-code tools, but if you want very specialized automation which may not happen over here, so in that case we may have to go for the automation with the help of scripting. Right?
No,
Scripting means coding.
like in JSON. Can you just open JSON?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here just expand this. Huh. So here you have used properties and they have their values, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these are already hard coded, right? Which you already have them, but our data will keep increasing, right? So how will we keep on adding those? You have just directly written here, right? But this will keep changing. Something might happen, might add, might delete. Then how will we change that? It's a
See
code.
over here, okay, I got your question. So I'll answer in this particular context over here. So right now, what is happening is over here, the data which is coming over here, which is getting populated, it will be in the same format all the time. The row headers or the column headers would remain same. Timestamp, customer name, customer email, request type, request detail. What will keep adding is the number of rows. The
Yes.
structure over here will remain same,
Mhm.
and it is getting it is analyzing the structure, not, I mean, basis on the basis of what input we are giving. So over here if you see, I have just given the row headers as an input, nothing else is fixed. Every row which is getting added over here will get analyzed. Now just I wanted to show, that is why I can choose where to start it. I mean, should I do analysis on all the entries? Whether there should be a specific ID which I want to, analyze, or I want to manually select which one to analyze.
Okay.
Got it. So these are the things when you start, trying your hands on that time you will understand how it can work.
Okay, Preeti had a question. Preeti, what was your question?
Yeah, Ankit, you already told, but I didn't get that. What is the platform we can use for this kind of automations?
Yeah. So there are multiple platforms. So make.com is one of the platform you can see over here.
Can you spell make? Okay.
Yeah. So this is one of the platforms. There are other platforms as
Mhm.
well. Zapier is there, N8N is there. So there are a lot of automations which can be
Okay.
done using this platform. Right now over here, just this OpenAI is the LLM which I have used. But
Mhm.
there can be, we can connect it to Claude or Gemini depending on what kind of automation that we need.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Harshali also had a question.
Yes,
Harshali.
Ankit, how reliable is the analysis, by percentage wise?
yeah. So that totally depends on what we are trying to analyze. So over here, if we compare it, I mean, just now I have told you this, I have shown this analysis about intent urgency. We can always check it against what was the request and what is the reasoning. That is why we are giving an option to reason. But again, this is the generative AI system. It works on probabilistic outcomes, right? So wherever you want fixed outcomes, you should go with the RPA, that is robotic process automation or rule based automation. But if at all, sometimes if some kind of variation is available or is permitted, in that case this can be done because it's generative AI. It will generate based on whatever it is being fed. And of course, when it comes to the organization and how it can be scaled, so it is not put into production immediately after implementation. Some time has to be given initially to ensure that the system is being monitored and it is producing the reliable outputs.
My second question is, this is okay for a service industry where you have a certain pattern of data flow. For industry like us, which is an energy sector, how would this help us?
That would depend on which process we are trying to automate, right? So there can be different processes, I believe, as per the different departments. So that can be understood by looking at what are the processes which are being followed currently and what is the goal.
So in pharmaceutical industry, can you give the examples where we can use them?
Uh, Pharmaceutical, of course, I mean, if there is any kind of data analysis which is happening, or if there is some research which needs to be done on particular drug or particular disease, in that case, it can be used. The use cases and the flow will differ from industry to industry. This is just a simple customer query workflow which can be automated. But again, in depth, it can be discussed offline because for that it is important for me to understand the process first.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yeah. Harshali, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I understood. But my other question to you is like, since you also said in during the conversation that it does the future analysis, so we are more dependent on the engineering, engineering aspects which needs more. It's not analysis that we use. It's more of calculations and experience that comes in picture. So in that case, would this be really be helpful?
uh, it may or may not, because if it is completely depend, I mean, if the majority of the part is dependent on calculation, so why not go with the rule based automation instead of going with something which is very variable, right? Because you would need, considering your sector, you would need fixed outcome all the times. Correct? Variation is not something which would be accepted,
Right,
right?
right,
So in
because
that
it's
case,
more parametric.
right, right. So wherever we need deterministic or fixed output, we should prefer going with the rule-based or RPA systems. Or in other case, wherever variation is in output is expected, in that case, we can go ahead with this AI, Gen AI automation.
Thank you.
Yeah. We can take one or two more questions before we uh, before we go to the next section. Do we have any more questions?
No, everything seems to be clear. So we are all good till there.
Okay, I'm going to show you quickly one more automation. Uh, let me, I'll show the video of it to save the time, but I'll explain what exactly is happening over here. Yeah. So this is another automation which has been created, which is to, create LinkedIn post. So what happens over here is this is not using any platform. This is hard coded using script Python. It has been designed in Python. So what is happening over here is while posting on LinkedIn, we often think like what to post on. So what it does is it helps us to give topic, and not just topic, it helps us to define the persona. So let us say that it allows different persona if I'm selecting it for the tech leader, and it also helps us to define the tone, the different tone that it has been given. And based on this, it runs automation in the background, and within 10 to 15 seconds your post get created. I'll just fast forward it. The post get created in the background just based on the defined structure. After some review, the post can be posted easily. So this is the another automation. So right now, the reason I went with the scripted automation over here is because uh, I wanted to have it customized. I wanted to define what is going inside and what is not. So that is why I went ahead with this. Otherwise, there are some specific format or specific workflows which can be defined using make or n8n. So that totally depends on what are the challenges or what is the requirement for us, right? Any doubts so far? Can we move on?
No, as such.
Okay, perfect. Now, I'll quickly cover the next point. So most important part, which was the demo for you to understand. So why the automation which I have shown is the enterprise grade is, of course, it it gives us the audit trail, which is when it is locked and with all the reasoning. It is also giving us the transparency with the help of confidence level, and it can be said fail safe because the exceptions are there, and uh, because we are already putting human in the loop, we are not getting doing making system fully autonomous. And what AI did not do over here is, of course, it did not make any final decision autonomously. It operated as a, as a simple. It did not operate as a simple black box, or it binary, or neither it bypassed the human governance. That is why we are saying that this is the enterprise grade. Then beyond customer support, where we can do it, we can do it, implement this kind of automation in, let's say, sales for qualifying leads. Based on whether the leads are, if the leads are hot, then it can be automatically quickly routed. Then we can also have it in the finance, where to validate the expense receipts, and if there are any anomalies, we can flag them immediately for review. This can also be this automation can also be applied in HR, where we want to screen CVs for specific skill match signal. I think there are a lot of tools which are already there for HR, which are using this kind of process in the background. And in operations also this can be utilized. So which is to yeah, to prioritize field maintenance by safety risk. So depending on what is the use case, this kind of automation can be used. But the rule of thumb over here is, if you want deterministic output, fixed output, so always prefer going with the rule-based automation. But if there is a variation which is accepted, only then go ahead with the with this particular AI-based, Gen AI-based automation, right? So how what actually, when it comes to leadership, what they want to see is, they want to prevent, let's say, 45,000. I mean, they want to have the concrete ROI and risk reduction instead of vague business outcome. That is actually very important, right? Then how do we measure success is, of course, on the basis of decision accuracy rate, uh, not with the help of the volume of the ticket. So that is something which is very important while measuring the success. Any doubts so far? All good?
No, No, all fine, sir.
All good. Yeah.
How do we take it to productions? Of course, initially the discovery needs to be done, which process is something which is consuming a lot of task, a lot of time. And even after automating, how much impact it will do in terms of return on investment, then only the type of automation can be decided, and accordingly it can be built. It can be built either with the rule-based standard automation or RPA, or with the help of GenAI, depending on the requirement. But again, it should not be scaled immediately. The supervision is required for this. If in the supervision, if at all the systems are performing well, then only it can be scaled and taken to production. Otherwise, with the help of feedback, it needs to be applied in the building phase again. So that is typically a path from, pilot to production. Depending on the scale, the path, the time might vary. Sometimes it can happen in 2 months, sometimes it can happen in 6 months, depending on the time, right? So with this, uh, how this journey can be, continued. So of course, you can map one workflow and uh, take the, take the workflow, whatever workflow which is following, whatever workflow which is currently there in the organization, accordingly, uh, try doing it on your own, or you can take some, deep dive workshop and try to build some working patterns for your team. Or if you want some one-on-one diagnostic, so that can be done with, of course, some prerequisite, or whatever you want to implement in the organization, correct? So that is about the session today. So if you want, we can get connected on LinkedIn. I keep sharing all of this technological development on which are happening in the terms of AI, and how it can help organization. Do we have any questions?
It was basically a superb session. I myself learned quite a few things, especially make.com.
Yes, it was
Excellent
really,
session. Yeah.
yeah, pretty insightful, and I learned a lot of things, and it will help me automate several tasks. And thank
Yeah.
you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, Ankit, I also wanted to say same, because this is the session which I have done. This is my first session regarding AI automation, and I quickly learned many things here in the session. Thank you so much.
And in fact, Ankit, one thing when you answered Harshali's questions, uh, see, AI doesn't have to be ubiquitous, right? So, as you said, RPA will help her. She doesn't really need to go in for agentic AI. So yes, when does a leader decide whether automation is required or not required? So, I feel rather than going in for FOMO, when experts such as you, and when curious catalysts can come in, that is when I think millions of dollars or millions of rupees can be saved.
When it comes to automation, leadership really has to decide which type of automation is required, whether they want RPA automation or they want AI based automation, right? So, wherever the deterministic output is required, in that case, RP automation can be an answer. But wherever the probabilistic outcome is required, for example, if you are dealing with the text and where the data is unstructured, in that case, AI automation can come into GenAI automation can come into picture, because the output you get may not be the exact output every time. However, the context of the output remains the same. So this is the decision that needs to be made by leadership team, and not everything needs to be automated using AI. There are different processes to handle it. So it is not about going into FOMO, but it is also thinking about whether this particular task automation is going to serve my purpose or not. Yeah.
So, it was a really nice session, and a handout will be shared on the group, and I have added the links. Please check it out on the chat box.
Any other questions? See, it is difficult to get somebody like Ankit on a platform like this, to be very honest. These are some difficult questions that need to solve from organization to organization. And if you have any questions related to this, please go ahead and ask.
Okay, I wanted to ask one question. Uh, if we are going to like start a new business, or like we can say ecosystem or e-commerce we are into, we are going to start. So how AI will useful in that, in the startup, at the startup point?
So, I mean, what happens is, what is the difference generally between a startup and an established organization?
Why I
Organization,
wanted to
yeah,
an
organization.
organization, sometimes the organization has been set up, the experienced employees are there into the organization, but when we are initially just in the phase of launching, or in this phase of starting the or build our organization, at that time I wanted to know if any add-on will be like helpful for the this kind of startups
I think the biggest difference
I,
would
at that
be that
phase.
that there will be data will be available for already established, whereas a new company will have it
Yes.
will not have systems, no compliance, and of course data, which is the new oil for AI.
Correct, good catch, Pallavi. That is what I wanted to ask. Like organizations have a lot of data, so in which this system we can use effectively when it comes to automation, or any kind of predictions are required. But for for startup, generally what we heavily rely on creating services or creating products. So over here, automation may or
Yes.
may be helpful if at all some let's say if you are talking about e-commerce, so you will be listing some products on your website, right? So for those products you may
Yeah.
need some kind of product description or images in the specific format, right? So for that the automation can be used. I'll just quickly show you one. Sure. Uh, so what there is another automation that I had created. What it used to do is, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So what I have done over here is I have given it just simple fields, the business name, what is the business type, and what is the theme. And based on this, what it gives me is the detailed description for the post along with the image which needs to be posted along with that post. So if I run this automation, it will automatically give me the, I mean, automation runs in the background, and once the automation is finished, it will give me document as well as the status, whether it is completed or not. I'll also show you how what it creates in the background. Just allow me 1 second for that. But these are the kind of automations probably which you can think of, implementing initially, because as a founder, it saves a lot of time to you.
Yes. Okay.
In,
Okay.
any other question?
No, thank you.
So this is the thing. This is the document which got created in the background when I run this automation. And what it is giving me is this content package, which has the business detail, the image which you can post, the Instagram post caption. Along with that, if you want to create a reel about that business, it will also give you the script and what it needs, what editing, video editing, or what visuals you can show along with that. So of course, these are the things which can be done automatically. I have not given it any input, just that the context is something that I have, that is something which is being set in the background.
So this is also a make.com, is it, Ankit?
Yes, in the background it is using Make.
Okay. This is looking fabulous
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Yes.
The
Okay,
platform,
great.
but in the background, of course, there are different APIs which are connected, and for that API, of course, there is some cost which is required, or credit which are required. So this kind of authentication and the credits which needs to be passed over there. And depending on how much automation we need, accordingly, of course, this make.com and all, they have their own credit system, or the number of automations that you can run based on whatever is the requirement. So this is something definitely which can be used and tried. If you want, I can share some link which you can for make.com on how to which you can share with Pallavi, which you can share with the team today.
Yeah, sure. If you can just put it in the chat box, we'll also put it in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Okay. Can take a couple of more questions, if any.
Pooja, Srinivas, Pranjal, Veena, Emmanuel, Prashant, Preeti. Preeti, you definitely ask number of questions. Bhuvaneshwar. If there are no other questions, we'll wrap up this session.
No, ma'am, there is no question. The session was very fine as well.
Thank you. So I think,
Is there a question? Sorry, I missed.
it seems there are no other questions, Ankit. And so stay tuned for our next session on hallucinations. Hallucinations, as you all know, sometimes we do use AI for content, and I'm absolutely amazed by the brazenness with which the chat GPT lies to me, and it actually tells me, no, this is only correct. So we are going to tackle it. Vartika will be the right person who will be tackling hallucinations. So stay tuned for our next session. And good day to you all. Have a wonderful Sunday, and have a wonderful Sunday, Ankit. You too. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, and meet you in the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the wonderful
Thank you,
session.
Pallavi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ankit.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Vartika, and thank you, Arun. Thank you so much.